Hello everyone. Hope you are doing well. I'm Dr. Vijay. In this lecture, we'll discuss about training and its process. There are 5 major outcomes of this lecture. After taking this lecture, you should be able to understand about training and its objective, describe basic training process. You'll also be able to explain training need assessment, how it's being carried on. Then you'll be able to understand designing and execution of the training, how the training needs to be executed or be implemented. And finally, you should be able to explain Krikpatric model about training evaluation. Okay, let's try to achieve our first outcome, that's understanding about training and its objectives. Let's see what the training is all about. It is a process to increase the knowledge and skills of employees to do a particular job or to improve their performances. From this definition, we can easily make out the 2 major results. The first one is the knowledge and skills of employees will improve. Okay, and the second is the performance of the employee is increased. Please understand, when we say training improves the performance of employees, which is directly proportional to increase in organizational performance, we are saying that the overall performance of the organization will surely improve. Okay, the basic purpose behind training is to prevent manpower obsolescence, to increase productivity, and as a result the growth of the organization. Please understand that the training works at both the levels. By both level, we mean the individual level and the organization level. At individual level, the capabilities are increased, and at organization level, overall growth is observed. So we can say when we impart an effective training, it leads to a win-win situation for both employee as well as employer. The training process involves 5 basic steps. The first one is identifying the training needs or requirements, establish objectives. The third one is selecting training methods. The fourth is conducting the training, and finally we'll move towards evaluating the performance of employees after the training is over. Kindly note that in case we are very sure that our training process is effective and validated, and the instructor or trainer is also efficient, but still if the performance of the trainees does not improve, kindly understand, we are aware of the fact that the training process is effective and validated and the instructor or trainer is also efficient, but if the performance of the trainees does not improve, then the trainee or the group of trainee may be sent again for the same or similar training program, and hence this arrow is made light. Okay, now we'll understand the different phases of training process in detail. The first one is identification of training needs. There are 3 ways to identify the training requirement. That includes organizational analysis, task analysis, and employee analysis. In case of organizational analysis, we align the training program with our long-term or short-term objectives. In organizational analysis, the purpose of training is to increase organizational effectiveness. Hence, training pertaining to proper utilization of resources, training pertaining to commitment towards organizational goal, conscientiousness, etc. is being provided in this category. Okay, got the idea that in organizational analysis we are more concerned towards, we have a strong concern towards the organization. Then the second one is the task analysis. Task analysis focuses on the job or the task to be or being performed by the employee. In task analysis, we study various skills, knowledge, aptitude, etc. that are required to perform a particular task, and whether there is a need of training or right now there is no need of the training. In the third one, and that is in employees analysis, we try to identify the training needs that are required to achieve the quality standards or the benchmarks set in the industry or in the organization itself. Now please understand, while identifying the training requirements, we need to prioritize the three analysis that we have recently discussed: the organizational analysis, task analysis, and the employee analysis. We need to prioritize. Depending on the priority, will offer the needed training. Okay, let's move to our second step. The objectives may vary depending on the output of our first step. Okay, that what we have identified. In establishing the objective, there can be n number of objectives, like to increase the productivity, to increase the quality, quality pertaining to work or quality pertaining to product, etc. It also includes, or the number of objectives again could be seen as to prevent obsolescence. Usually the obsolescence is observed in warehouses. Then for better human resource planning, for enhancing personal growth, for increasing the morale, etc., could be some of the output or could be some of the objectives. Okay, let us take an example. Let's say company named ABC identified that there is a need of skill development for production department employees for increasing the productivity. Okay, in that case, their objective are towards increase in productivity and somewhere also contribute to improve in the quality of the work. Got the idea? So in this case, we'll work on to the two areas, increasing the productivity, and thereby that will ultimately but obviously will help us in improving the quality also if the contents are being presented or content are being carried that way. Okay, once we are clear as to what is the objective for training, we shall start searching for the best method for training the employees. Okay, now we are moving towards our third step. Once we are done with the objective, now we need to identify what are the best methods for imparting a training to the employees depending on the objectives. Okay, now this onsets our third step, that's the selection of training methods. Okay, there are three broad categories of training method. The first one is on the job training. It's being also abbreviated as OJT. It includes coaching, job rotation, committee assignments, action training, apprenticeship, etc. Off the job training includes lectures, case studies, role playing, business games, etc. And the third one is the simulation. There are many more methods which could be seen under the training methods. As of now, these are for the reference only. We are not covering the training methods in this lecture. You can take a detailed lecture on training methods under the title Training Methods. Okay, let's move to our fourth step of training process, that is conducting training. This is the stage where a training is mostly judged as good or bad. Now we are on to implementation part basically. Please understand the concern here is effectiveness. Okay, to conduct a training, we need to, first one is select the trainees. The instructor or the trainer must prepare themselves before conducting the sessions. We need to determine the place and duration of the training. We shall have the desired material with us, and finally the trainer shall handle the conflicts for successful conduction of the training. Now let us see how the trainees are selected. There are two broad ways to select the trainees. One is on the basis of interest of the trainee itself. Okay, let us say one employee is willing to improve his speaking skills. Now in this case, it is the interest of trainee and the training could be provided. Okay, the first one was on the basis of interest of the trainee itself. The second method of selection of trainee is very formal method. Okay, where the organization in itself creates the different training schedules for specific department. Now in second case, what's going on is that the organization creates the different training schedules. In the first case, it was on the basis of the interest of the trainee itself. Okay. Now let us say in the second category, if the company observes or come across that the sales department is not able to perform to the desired level, or let us say the sales department is not able to handle the clients effectively. In this case, the sales department employees will be taken as trainee and the desired training will be conducted. Okay, got the idea? In this case, sales department employees will be selected as trainee. Okay, then we have the second level, that is preparation by the instructor or trainer. There's a question that could be raised here, that who could be an instructor? Okay, the answer to this is that an instructor may be from inside or some senior guy from the organization, or an outside expert could be bring in who can take up the training sessions. Okay, but the core idea at this level is that the instructor must prepare himself or herself with the knowledge about the job for which he is going to conduct the training. Okay, he shall also encourage active involvement and shall also encourage the questions from the trainees so that a better understanding could be created. Clear with this also? Moving to place and duration. Place and duration are also equally important, as the place shall be cozy and comfortable, and lengthy training shall not be offered in one go. One can offer intermittent breaks, or the training could be spread over a couple of days. Okay, the training material depends mostly on the objectives and methods selected, and the objective and methods of selection has been covered into the second and third step of the training process. For training material, let's take an example. Let's say our objective is to achieve zero obsolescence, or basically the zero wastage in our warehouse. The material or the training material may include the stacking system of our warehouse, how to stack the product, softwares pertaining to warehouse, if any, etc., could be the part of training material, so that we can help the trainees identify that how we could remove the obsolescence from our warehouses. Okay, let's move to our last phase of training process, that is evaluating performance. The most widely used model for evaluating training program is Krikpatric model, which is proposed by Donald L. Krikpatric. It includes 4 basic categories to evaluate the performance of the training. The first one is reaction, and the second is learning. We have behavior part, and finally we have the results. Let's understand one by one. The first is reaction. This talks about what they think about training. Also define it as what trainees think about training. Under this, the participants are asked for the feedback in the form of certain questions, and the questions are like, did they like the program, did they think it's worthwhile, and related. Okay, got the idea? Basically what we are saying is, we are capturing the reaction of the trainees once the training is over, whether they are feeling positive, whether they are feeling that it was worth that they being given the training and they are able to implement it. Okay, so that is on the basis of the reaction we are going to evaluate the performance. On to the second one, that is learning. In this, the trainees are tested to determine whether they learned the skills principles and facts, etc., when which they are supposed to learn. See, in case of learning, the idea is, what we see is, we could have in between question sessions, we could have certain quizzes in between, and there could be other methods which we could refer, like the role playings, etc., depending on what kind of training being offered, in order to see that the learning has been carried by the trainees or the learning has not been carried by the trainees. Okay. In behavioral part, we usually observe before the training and after the training behavior of the individuals onto their jobs and towards the organization too. Okay, now see, what we are saying is, we are going to identify the difference in the two behavior in this category. And the one kind of behavior is the behavior of individual till the time he has not taken any training, and the behavior after taking the training, whether there is a change in behavior towards the job and towards the organization too, or there is no change. Onto the behavior part, this is how do we see. Now see, if the behavior is improved after taking the training, we believe that the training was a success. And improved behavior is being defined as the kind of behavior that is expected to perform a job and that is expected towards the organization. Okay. Finally, on to the last one, the results. The results are probably the most important one. Here we are concerned with the final outcome that is achieved. Ultimately, what we have achieved of a particular training, we have invested time, we have invested our resources. What are the final outcome? Okay. For better understanding, let's have a look at the training evaluation chart or the results. Onto the x-axis, we have weeks that represents the duration of newcomer or an employee in an organization. Got the idea? The x-axis represents the duration of a newcomer or an employee in the organization. Under the titles weeks, the number of weeks he is into the organization. The ascending number on x-axis represents increasing duration of an individual in the organization as an employee. Okay, got the idea? What does the ascending number on x-axis represents? Onto the y-axis, and the performance is represented that of a newcomer or of an employee. The increase in number on y-axis represents increased performance. Okay, now let's see this line graph or the line graph combination of time duration and the performance of an employee. This line graph combination represents the combination of x-axis and y has been plotted here. Let's take an example to understand this. Let Mr. A is an employee in the organization. Now let's observe that the performance of Mr. A was ranging from 7 to 10 points before he took 1 week training in 9th week that ended in 10th week. We have offered, or Mr. A has taken 1 week training that started in the 9th week and ended into the 10th week. Once the training is over, the performance of Mr. A has raised to 17 points and later continued between 16 to 18 points. Okay. From this figure or chart, it is clearly reflective that the training provided to Mr. A was effective and has helped him to work at higher potential, and thereby overall performance of organization will also raise. Okay. I hope you are clear with this figure or the chart. With this, we wind up our lecture on training and its process. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. Please feel free to write a feedback. Thanks for patience learning. Thank you very much.